I know what this means. Family, friends, друзья of Cardivox Academy, Mark here, and I'm very excited because we are checking out Baba Yaga, the new single from Slaughter to Prevail. Alex Terrible, the vocalist of this band, if you're not familiar with him, is very well known for his entire vocal range, but I shouldn't say specifically, but especially for how low his vocals can get and how much power he adds to his whole range, especially his mids and his shouts. So we're going to be getting kind of crazy. Now, I haven't done a video on Slaughter to Prevail since Demolisher over a year ago, or maybe almost a year ago. I don't remember when I put it up. But that song and that video blew my mind. So we're going to see what happens here. I'm very excited. Now, if you're new to the channel, Mark with Cardivox Academy again, and I am a vocal coach. I specialize mostly in metal vocals of all varieties, but sometimes I dip into the clean singing world as well. I'm in 3 bands, Kardashev, Neverbreath, and Viremia, and if you enjoy the content, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Our focus is to make it educational and fun, so that's what we do with the reaction format. We break it down, we pause here and there, we talk about the vocals, and we have a great time. And if you're a returning viewer, thank you so much. I appreciate you greatly. Let's no longer delay. Let's just jump into it. We're going to check out Baba Yaga, Slaughter to Prevail. 4 minutes and 14 seconds of brutality coming in. Let's go.
Flesh we ate, that was the core of your innocent. Broth we took, flesh we ate, love through the pain, nothing but
Okay, I know we're only 40 seconds in, and I promise I will keep this brief, but I just want to jump in and say I am very impressed with how much vocal range we're hearing in the first 40 seconds of the song. Highs, mids, lows. We're even hearing some styles that he uses a little less frequently, like, you know, sort of this like gritty belted sound, and it's a little bit more forward in the mix than it has been in previous songs, right? I'm not saying he's never done it, but here it's very front and center. We'll talk more technique here in a second because, you know, again, I don't want to front load this, but just a whole lot going on. I can tell there's going to be a lot. We're going to talk about lows. We're going to talk about how to get our lows a little bit lower. We're going to talk about how to hit those gridded belty sections. But let's keep going because I guarantee there's going to be plenty to talk about here. That is a hungry bear. That is a hungry bear. Okay, let's take some time to talk vocals because it seems like we've got a good spot. So one thing that I want to mention as we talk about Alex's voice is part of the reason he's well known is because his lows are very, very unique. There's this deep cavernous quality to them. And, you know, since doing the Demolisher video, I've seen a myriad of tutorials on the Alex Terrible sound with varying degrees of accuracy. Some people sounded almost exactly like he did. Some people sounded pretty far off, right? Now, I want to make something very, very clear. Part of the reason for that variation is, of course, because different people are using different techniques. But it's also because different people have very different vocal instruments, right? Some people are going to be able to, you know, mimic certain vocalists with insane accuracy. Some people who use all the same techniques are going to be a little less of a carbon copy. The reason for that, again, our voice is so much more than our vocal folds, or in this case, our false chords, right? Our voice is the space that we have. It's the way that it vibrates. It's the inherent nasality or lack thereof that we have. It's the size and shape of the vocal folds. So if you are trying to mimic Alex Terrible, go for it because there's so much we can learn. But if you don't sound exactly like him, do not beat yourself up. It's totally fine. I have some vocalists I can sound very similar to. I have others that I don't really sound very much like. Alex Terrible is one of them. My lows and his lows, I can approach them with very similar technique. We're going to sound very different, and that may be the case for you. So I'm doing this so that if you're out there, I've seen people beat themselves up when they don't sound exactly like a vocalist, and I just don't want you to put yourself through that unnecessary judgment, right? But let's go ahead and let's talk vocals. So there's a clip, this clip, I'll link it below. We won't watch it, but there's a clip that we all know and love. The first clip I ever saw, the first time I ever heard Alex Terrible's voice, he's got this lead in, right, that actually begins with true chords, and then eventually he starts to overtake with a false chord sound, right? And that false chord sound that he starts with at his low level is very much like this. It's heavily phonated, right? Which is interesting. And if we were to keep our scream there, it would be painful and we wouldn't want to hold it very long. But he moves forward in that clip and he projects up and out and he gives much more breath support, and that raises the distortion up into the back of the mouth, right? So then it becomes, again, he and I sound very, very different. It becomes more of like an sound. Now that is incredibly comfortable, even though it sounds crazier, right? When we're doing these false chord noises, comfort and control should be our main goal. Now, if you're out there and you have a false chord low that you can hit, right? Maybe you're here, you can hit that sound. If you want to try to get lower, take some inspiration from him in that the majority of the way that he does it is by creating open space, right? I'm not going to say he does not drop his larynx at all. I'm sure he does. But the majority of what we're hearing is from a dropped jaw, a curled tongue, a raised soft palate, an open pharyngeal space. He also adds a little bit of nasality. Yeah, kind of right there. You can hear that my voice isn't nasal, but I'm resonating a little bit with that sound, right? So we can take our clean voice, find out where your current low sits, and we can use that sound to pull down. Again, before we use our larynx, using our mouth, tongue, lips, pharyngeal space, all of that. Right, and we can get all these crazy low tones. Let's keep going here, but that's one thing I want to drive home. The low vocal that we work on, we should rely on open space and also airflow. Another thing that Alex does is he pushes a little bit more air through than your usual false chord vocalist. Now, he's not overly breathy. He's not doing anything wrong, but he has more of like a like that roaring tone from a that extra breath behind it. Let's keep going though. Let's keep going. There's plenty of time to talk about the other stuff. Okay, it seems like we got a couple seconds here. So I want to talk about these more gritty belted sounds that he's hitting, because it's actually really interesting. I don't know if he did this intentionally, but he sort of diagrams it here. So in one section where he's closer to like a more melodic singing, hey, I don't know the lyrics, right? So I'm just going to kind of make noise here. Hey, yeah, right? He's activating this frontal resonance, right? We have a bone in our face. It's called the maxilla. It's what our teeth attach to. It's what creates, our cheekbones. Actually goes back a little bit farther, but the bony part, the base of our nose, not the cartilage place, but the base of it, is all this maxilla bone. And if we aim our voice at that maxilla, it acts very much like like a backplate on a guitar or like a sounding board on a piano, right? It lets our voice really vibrate and build and grow, right? So if I'm trying to do these noises and I'm going to intentionally keep it throaty, I'm not going to use that maxilla, you're going to hear that it sounds kind of broken and kind of strained. I am insane upon it, Right now, I'm going to channel my inner, hey, gross, yuck, this noise, hey, right? Way better. Now, the reason I say he's sort of diagramming it is because this space is really necessary for, I don't want to say it's really necessary because there are, I'm sure there's, some outlier and we can make this a little bit lower, but getting that gravelly, like, hey, right, this sound right here is where he's like, walking around and I've got a machine gun, right? He's doing a little bit more of that. Part of the reason I can do that comfortably, and you can too, by the way, stuff like this, it's not locked behind any sort of magical, crypt. It's the only thing it's locked behind is just practice and determination. So you can totally do all these things. You totally can. I believe in you. But taking this, hey, it gives us this ability to make this noise and walk around with tanks and explosions and beats and bears and Battlestar Galactica and not feel any strain, right? Because it's pulling the distortion up and forward and leaving the throat, predominantly very, very relaxed. And then I love how he pulled into that low there at the end. I'm going to go back because it sounds like they're dropping into something good here. And I'm just excited. What's up? I know what this means. I gotta brush my teeth after that. Ugh! All right, so that was sick. So here, let's talk about these lows, because this is one of the most quintessential Alex Terrible sounds that's out there, right? And it's this deep, hollow, cavernous low. I want you to listen to this, and I want you to think about the sound of open space, right? Open space is what creates this echoing. And here, I do know what he's saying. Baba Yaga, Kastanaya Naga, because I had a friend when I was working at a big financial industry. One of my closest friends there lived in Russia for the first 16, 17 years of her life. And she would say this sometimes. So, Baba Yaga, Kastanaya Naga. She also called me a Graznia Svenya, which I realized was an insult later in life. But I promise, we were good friends. Anyways, listen to the depth and the hollow space. So, going on in his voice here. Yeah, so again, my lows, they're not going to sound similar, but we can take the inspiration from the open space, right? If I'm singing a note, let's keep it thematic. Hey ha, You hear how hollow that sounds? Right? I'm accessing those low notes by creating space. And a really good way to kind of do this is an old school exercise. I didn't make it up. I'm gonna make you yawn right now. When we yawn, if you pay attention, you can feel the muscles here kind of at so right here is the top of your larynx, right? So we got our vocal folds behind our larynx here. And then above that, we have this space called the laryngeal funnel, right? And if we open up that space, which you can feel happen with a yawn, I have this sound here. Your larynx may drop a little bit, that's okay. But if we use that and add a little bit of airflow, we can access kind of like these lower resonant sounds. And it'll take some time to play with, but like a normal false chord, now compress it. Now kind of give it a yawn. Right? We can kind of get this going. Again, he's a master of this. So that's that. But that section was, frick it. Let's go back. Frick it, I say. Let's go back just a little bit and hear kind of just the outro there, because the outro of that section, because I loved that. I need some help understanding what happened in that video. We got a bear eating people. We got Alex Terrible eating people. We got Alex Terrible then fighting the bear. Then we've got tanks and explosions and machine guns. And then a game of Russian roulette. Which, I mean, hey, so mote it be. But that song was wild. I really enjoyed it. One thing I really liked is how they had some elements of Demolisher, right? They had, and that's a smart move, right? Because the song was an immense hit, crazy. But they didn't just try to replicate it, right? We had some very new things going on there. One thing I do want to mention is that Alex, the way he does vocals is very, very heavily built on a lot of projection. If you watch him like in any sort of stream that he's done or in any sort of like YouTube video he's done, he has a ton of projection. You can see him really summoning up his support from the bass. And when we say that, by the way, what we mean is opening up the abdominal cavity, right? Holding the ribs open to keep the diaphragm flat. And then with those ribs open, squeezing the abdominal cavity with the abs, the obliques, the lower abdominal muscles to put pressure, right? And then that creates a large amount of projection through a very relaxed space, right? And that's kind of the key there. So if you see him projecting like that, understand that he is trained in this for a long time, and the muscles required for that projection with him are worked out, right? They're buff workout muscles, right? So you don't necessarily have to start projecting the way that he does. There was this whole, Demolisher power challenge that went around the internet for a while, of people yelling that line, Demolisher. You don't have to project like that. In fact, I always suggest learn to create your distortion at a low level, right? So whatever vocals you do, if you can do your low vocal right here like this, right, which is really like quiet, or your high vocal right here like bleh, right? If you can do those things just sort of in a speaking volume, then you can project, and it'll be easy. It'll be easy because you can control it in a comfortable space. Anyways, we could talk a lot about this song, but we're just over the 20-minute marker, so I'll go ahead and cut it there. But again, Alex, great job. Great song. You killed it as always. Thank you all for watching. I greatly appreciate you. If you enjoyed the content, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Hit the bell icon. Check us out on Patreon if you want to see more videos per week. But as always, many thanks, much love. I'm out.